All right. Hey, Christina, how are you today?
Um, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your flexibility. I know it's been a minute since we spoke and I had some health issues, so I really appreciate you being so flexible. You know, I want you to know if it ever happens in the future, you can feel free to reach out if you have any pressing issues, and I certainly will either make sure whoever's covering me will be able to connect with you, or um, I'll figure out a way for us to kind of have an in the minute session so that if there's anything that's going on, that I can reach out to you. So, tell me a little bit about what's been going on the last couple of weeks.
Um, Honestly, not much. Like I'm not working anymore. I keep
Mm-hmm.
talking to my child, but
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much it. Like I think I feel depressed again.
You feel depressed again. Can you
Yes.
can you talk to me about maybe some of the more sort of recent feelings that you've been having of depression and how that's been kind of playing out in your life? Like, can you tell me like a particular story that stands out for you?
Yes, for example, last week I tried to go by myself to watch a movie in the theater. We talk about like doing that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But um, when I tried, I saw everyone with their loved ones,
Mm-hmm.
and it made me feel worst because I was by
Mm-hmm.
myself, and I didn't even like went all through to the movie. Like I literally got there, and when I saw these people, I got back to my house because I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't take it. I started like thinking about her,
Yeah.
and I just feel really lonely.
Yeah. And that's a totally understandable reaction to have. And, again, with a loss of this magnitude, like I want you to know that it's absolutely reasonable for you to have those kinds of reactions. But I feel really proud of you that you got out of the house. I mean, I think that, if we think about where you were when we first started speaking, where you were just kind of staying at home, um, I think that that's real progress. So I want to give you lots of really, positive feedback about that. And I think, the first time that you do something like that, it is going to be a little awkward and it's going to be a little bit um, tough. But what I want to make sure that you keep doing is, keep giving yourself exposure to the opportunity to interact with the world, right? And yes, it's awkward at first, but each incremental step, each step forward, is a positive. I mean, is that something that you feel like you can kind of hear me on?
Yeah, definitely. I know it's some progress, but I feel like for two steps that I'm going forward, I'm the same time doing five back.
Okay,
So
let's talk about
I
that.
don't know.
Let's talk
Yes.
about that. Let's talk about that. I think it's really useful to sort of um, keep working through our CBT steps about sort of thoughts and beliefs. And I wanted to introduce a tool today where we walk through it. It's called a Beck inventory. And what I want to do with today is I want to kind of share my screen with you, and we're going to look at some thoughts and beliefs and sort of talk about some of the like rigidity that you might be facing and sort of cognitive distortions that may be coming out as part of your thought process. But we're going to do one together, and then I'll send you the sheet on your own. And then, maybe it's an exercise that you can do, on a pace that makes sense to you, like maybe a couple times a week, where you feel like you're having these kind of emotional activations, and see, if this tool helps you reframe the way your thoughts and beliefs are coming out, and whether or not they're reasonable, or whether or not you might be kind of just kind of slinking into sort of some more black and white thinking. Does that sound fair?
Yes, sure.
Okay, so this is an evidence-based tool. I'm going to share my screen with you now. So just bear with me 1 second. There it is. There's the share. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
So let's kind of walk through this worksheet. So just because you think something, right? Remember your thoughts. They may be 100% true, 0% true, or somewhere just a little bit in the middle, right? So just because you think something doesn't mean it's necessarily true. So we're gonna walk through these questions. When you notice your mood getting worse, or you find yourself engaging in unhelpful behavior, I want you to take a pause, take a beat, and think, what's going on right now? Right? The situation may be something that's outside of you, meaning something that just happened or something that you just did, or inside, right? So a painful sensation, an intense emotion, a daydream, a flashback, anything like that. Making sense so far?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to walk through and we're going to identify some cognitive distortions from the list below, right? And then we're going to fill in the columns. So let's just take a few seconds or a minute and walk through these cognitive distortions. So all or nothing thinking, right? Can you think of an example where, let's take your movie theater trip. Um, this example is if I'm not a total success, I'm a failure. Did you recognize having any kind of feelings like that while you were in the movie?
Yes.
Okay, can
I
you tell me a little bit about
totally,
that?
yeah, I think this example that is stated there, I feel that way. I
You feel
feel
that
like I
way?
cannot do, yes, I feel like I know it's kind of progress, but at the same time I feel like it was just worst for me. Like even if I tried,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting the result or the outcome that, I think I'm gonna get. So when this happened, I feel like I'm a failure.
Okay, great. Let's put a pin in that and let's move on and look at the other options. So catastrophizing or fortune telling. So for example, if I go to the movie, I'm going to be alone or I'm not going to be able to do it, right? That's another example. Does that resonate for you?
Yeah.
Okay, disqualifying or discounting the positive. So, being in that movie theater, right? Coming out of your home, engaging with the world, right? That's a huge positive step. If you were to lean into the positive side of that, that would be not a cognitive distortion. Whereas maybe if your brain is saying, "Oh, just because I went out of the house doesn't mean that I'm making any forward motion." Okay.
Mm.
Emotional reasoning, right? So, you know, did you have any moments of positivity over the last couple of weeks that you remember maybe discounting because of the feelings that you were
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I'm taking better care of myself, like taking
having?
showers and eat better.
Okay.
But I still feel like I haven't done any progress since she passed. I feel stuck.
Okay.
Even though I know I'm doing better in other stuff, better than
Hmm.
the beginning, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I just see myself and I'm like, what I'm doing,
Yeah.
this is not enough. I
Yeah.
should be working. I should be taking care of like my child, or I should hang out
Hmm.
more with friends.
Yep.
So it's never enough,
That's a
basically.
great example of emotional reasoning. And honestly, it's also a great example of magnification minimization, right? Like, even though I'm doing all of these great things, I should be doing more, right? Like it's all it's doing is showing how I'm not doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing. So thank you for sharing that with me. And those are good examples. Let's talk a little bit about labeling. Labeling is really your kind of your internal monologue calling yourself something. So for example, if I in and I'll share personally, like if I don't go to the gym 1 out of the 3 days that I have planned, and my brain tells me, oh, I'm a terrible person because I'm not keeping my commitments, or I'm a loser, or that. So just sort of keep those kinds of things in mind. So mental filter is another one. So because you're not working, this example may not resonate, but when we pick a particular point in a situation and we overgeneralize or apply it across multiple domains rather than focusing on what we're actually trying to do, that mental filter really can make us label ourselves as something else, um, and kind of think about it and across a domain that maybe doesn't even make sense, and apply it across. Overgeneralization, I think that sort of speaks for itself. Overgeneralization meaning because I felt uncomfortable at the movies, I'm not ever going to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
Personalization. So personalization is someone, maybe you're at a grocery store and someone like, you know, doesn't say excuse me when they pass you in the aisle, right? Like sometimes we can kind of onboard that as a slight against us when it was a human being who had no interest in interacting with us. And while the action may be rude, it certainly is personal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So then should and must statements. This one I think particularly applies to you because I've heard you say it a couple of times in session. Like, I shouldn't feel this way, or there must be something wrong because um, because I'm feeling this way. Those should and must statements are really, really big traps for us to kind of put ourselves in because, as a human being, we don't have control about how things are going to happen. We are, as cruel as it sounds, we are at the mercy of our own reactions. So, as I'm sure that you can kind of relate to where that puts you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then tunnel vision is one of the sort of trickiest, right? Is seeing a situation and really reacting to it in a way that may not be rational. So, for example, someone cut me off in traffic. Um, you know, Everyone is a terrible driver. They will never ever let me merge into that lane. Or there's countless ways where tunnel vision kind of stops it. It's like wearing blinders for a horse, where you sort of block out whatever's happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Definitely.
So the next step is we're going to take this exercise, and you should be able to see it um, up and or across your screen. Can you see it well?
Yeah.
Okay. So the thought record is a really useful tool. I wish that I had the ability to edit right now so that we could record it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it to you, and if you want to do it digitally, that's fine. My recommendation is to print it out to have some sheets around the house, and that way you can, if you're having these kinds of feelings, you can start working through this worksheet, and it will help us sort of diagnose where we are. That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. So let's start with the movie theater. So the first question is what event or external or internal is associated with the unpleasant emotion, or what unhelpful behavior did you engage in? So you told me you went to the movie theater and you were excited about were you excited about the movie that you were going to see? Were you at least interested?
Yes.
What movie did you go to see?
Toy Story.
Toy Story 5. Oh, that's so fun. That's so fun. Oh,
Yes.
childhood. Okay, so you were hopeful, right? And then you got to the movie theater. Did you get snacks?
I didn't get to that point.
Okay. So you went into the movie theater and you sat down in a chair and you started to this was before the movie started, right? What else was
Yeah.
going on? Were there previews, like ads, like what was happening?
So basically, I get into the theater, and I saw a bunch of people with children,
Mm-hmm.
and couples around me.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of panicked. So I just stay there, like, to see if I could calm down
Mm-hmm.
for like around, I'll say like 10 minutes. Um, so I just sat down and watched the people.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
wasn't, they were just like in the main entrance.
uh-huh.
So I didn't get to even watch the movie at all.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay.
so after 10 minutes, I figured out that I wasn't feeling okay, so I left.
Okay. So you got into the movie theater and you saw all the people around with kids and couples. Am I hearing you right? And
Yeah.
then you started to where let's talk about what where that cognitive distortion you started to feel like you weren't able to be there in the space because what?
I f- I felt lonely. I felt like I was in the wrong place
Hmm.
for a moment. I felt like weird. I was the only person that was by myself,
You you
alone.
you felt like you were the only person by yourself, but let's think about it logically, uh, Terry. Let's think about it logically. Were you the only person that was there by themselves? Do you think it's possible that there was another person in the movie theater just going for the afternoon or this or the evening to see the movie by themselves? Do you think that's a possibility?
Um, yeah, it could be a small chance.
Yep.
I would say like 5%.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds to me like we could be dealing with a couple of different cognitive distortions. Which ones do you think would? I just want to see what you think, and then I'll tell you what I think. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think that the cognitive distortion that you practiced? And
Um, Maybe the all or nothing thinking.
yeah, definitely, and maybe a little bit of overgeneralization, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of tunnel vision too, because you were so focused on the idea that you were the only one who was there by themselves, and the only one who wasn't there in a couple, and the only one who wasn't there. So there were a couple of really, really meaningful kind of cognitive distortions that, okay. So, so the unhelpful behavior that you engaged in is, what do you think that was?
The unhelpful behavior was going back home.
That's right. That's right. You bailed. And again, I totally want to make sure that you don't feel invalidated for the fact that you did it because there's really nothing you can do about it now. All you can do is think about it and think about what you would do in the next, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
let's just take a level set. How intensely are you feeling about this particular event? Can you give me a number between 0 and 100? Like right now.
Mm, I I think the intensity would be like 90.
90. Okay.
Yes.
So the unhelpful behavior was that you did some overgeneralization and you bailed, right? So what the automatic thoughts or images, because and I'm sorry, I know that this is kind of treading through the same thing over and over again, but I think it's important that we kind of take the time to dissect it now rather than gloss over it so that when you're doing this by yourself, you kind of see the mechanics and the thought process. So you said that you got to the lobby, you didn't get the snacks, you didn't actually make it into the movie theater, and you were in the lobby. Can you think back? And I know it might be a little bit difficult, but can you think back about the images or thoughts that were in your mind during the event and then immediately after when you bailed?
Yes. So, when I was in the event, I I felt anxious,
Mm-hmm.
panicked,
Mm-hmm.
and sad.
Anxious,
At
panicked, and sad. Mm-hmm.
yes.
Okay.
Um, and I was just really, really like anxious. Like I almost have a panic attack. That's how I felt it.
Okay.
And
S-
after I left the scene, um, I felt like a failure. You know, I
yeah.
felt really disappointed at myself, but at the same time, I was like kind of angry because I don't have anybody else that, you know, could
Yeah.
go with me to the movies. And that made me feel like even worse. So
Yeah.
I was
You.
angry.
Well, I will tell you that in this moment, you've done really, really well because you've not only named the emotions, which is that next column. You said you felt anxious and angry and sad, right? You named some emotions, but you also told me that your automatic thoughts were that you were a failure,
Yeah.
right? So you did a great job by thinking about, and I want to make sure that we remember to suss out what's an emotion and what's a thought. The emotion is that emotional response: anxious, sad, angry, right? All of those things. But the thought was, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to these categories, right? Where you're doing all or nothing thinking, right? Just like you named at the beginning of reviewing this form. If I'm not a total success, I am a failure. If I'm not able to make it into the theater, if I'm feeling sad or anxious, if I'm feeling panic, I am a failure, right? Overgeneralizing. If I feel uncomfortable, I am a failure. So great, great, great work. Really great work of being able to identify those things. How can you give me a sense of? Can you think back, like how much did you believe, and how intense were the emotions? Like just describe it for
Um, like how can you repeat that?
me. Can you tell me, like, just how intensely did you like? Did you feel anything in your body? Like, how intense was the emotion?
Um,
When you told me just now that you're feeling about 90%, right?
yeah.
Kind of anxious about it. At the time, how intense was it? And 100 is a perfectly acceptable answer, but like really think about it. Was it like, were you full in on those emotions and the thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
So
I
it was a,
definitely was really into it. So I would say 100.
okay. So great. So you were emotionally activated that automatic thought that I'm a failure or that I shouldn't, right? The should. Um,
Yeah.
so let's talk about those cognitive distortions, the things that we just named. We named all or nothing thinking, right? We
Yeah.
named um, we named magnification, right? Overgeneralization, and that should, right? That should and must. So
Yeah.
when you're doing this exercise at home, what you would do, oh, sorry, when you would write in the adaptive response. And then
Okay.
let's use the questions that are down here to challenge that automatic response, because just knowing that it's there doesn't really help us change anything, right? So what is the evidence that the automatic thought is true?
The evidence um that I was actually lonely. I was actually alone in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was that was a fact. Um and that fact leads to people believe that if you don't have anyone to go to the theaters with, that
Mm-hmm.
means like you're a bad person or you don't deserve to be around
Mm-hmm.
other people. um
Mm-hmm.
or
Very
nobody
powerful
wants to
stuff.
be with you.
Very powerful stuff. Great job. Absolutely. But I would challenge you to think, right? So the evidence is very, very simple. The evidence is I'm alone in the theater, right? But where I want you to go, and I think it's important to think about those explanations, right? You just named the explanations. If I'm alone in the theater, then people think that I don't have anyone. If I'm alone in the theater, that I'm doing something where, people would judge me for it. But I want you to think about what was the evidence? Is there evidence that perhaps that thought, that automatic thought, was not true? Can you think of anything?
Um, that was not true evidence. Okay, let me see. That, as you mentioned before, there's people that don't necessarily are bad people or don't have anybody, but like to go to the theaters by themselves.
There you go. Very true. And that also leads us to the alternative explanation, right? Some people, they just like to go to the movies by themselves. Me, I love to go to the movies by myself because I don't have to worry about anybody else. I can get that popcorn. I can get that Diet Coke. I can put Raisinets in the box of popcorn and not have to share them with anybody. It is a vacation for me. Now, that may not be for you, and that's okay. But there's definitely there's no way to paint every situation through the lens that we have to be 100% true because there are other human beings that exist that function in a way that you can't control or you don't control, right? So the question is, if the worst happened, what would be the worst situation? Taking your wife's death out of the conversation, like in that moment in the movie theater, let's say that you hadn't left. What would have been the worst thing that would
Mm, nothing. Like what
have
would
happened?
be like my emotions maybe, but
Mm-hmm.
um I think like after I get over the that emotional state, I will be able to actually enjoy the movie, um,
Mm-hmm.
and have a good time. So I don't. I think like the worst thing that could happen, it happened because I left.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
so I think that's the worst scenario, like leaving the theater.
Right. And the worst scenario did happen, and now we're talking about it. And so, what we're going to do is we're going to try to reframe the conversation to see, now that the worst thing has happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
What can we change in your thinking that will help you get to through the situation in a more manageable way? So the most realistic outcome is if you had stayed, yes, you would have maybe had some emotions. And Toy Story loves to pull on our heartstrings, loves to pull on those feelings. And the worst thing that would have happened is you would have had some feelings about what was going on in your life as related to the plot of. Let me ask you this. Who if you were talking to your son, what's your son's
Mm-hmm.
name?
Daniel.
If you were talking to Daniel and Daniel was sharing the story with you, if they practiced the kind of thinking that you were thinking, if they said, "Oh, I went to the movie theater and I was by myself, so I assumed that everyone else was there with someone, and that because I was there by myself, I was a failure," what would you tell
Mm. I would tell him that he can always invite me
them?
if he wants someone to go
Mm-hmm.
to the theaters with,
Mm-hmm.
and that he shouldn't feel that way, like left out, because in the real world, like he has friends and he has me, and
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong to go to the theaters by yourself.
There you go. There you go. And I want to thank you for really stepping out of your comfort zone and going outside of of kind of your personalized situation and thinking about it from someone else's perspective. I think that what you've
Mm-hmm.
shown is incredible compassion. And I wonder what it would feel like to show the same self-compassion to yourself. That be a good thing to do?
Yes, I like
Good,
that.
good. So now that we've had a chance to process it, how much do you believe that automatic thought? I'm at the theater myself, therefore I'm a failure.
I will rate it after this conversation, 30.
And the emotions that you were feeling at the beginning of our conversation, not in the situation.
Oh, the emotions at the beginning of the conversations.
How, no, I mean, I think you answered my question correctly.
Oh,
But
okay.
right now, based on our conversation, how intense, you said that you were at a 90 when we started. Where would you put yourselves now in terms of the emotions?
I feel better. Like, I don't know, is should I go if I feel better is less percentage or more?
Less,
Because
less.
so
What
I've
we're the intensity, even if we're down 10%, that's already an improvement. So like you were at a 90, right? That's pretty high in terms of emotions. How would you rate yourself now?
I would say 15%.
Wow, that's 15 less or 15 total?
No, 15 total.
15 total. Wow, that's great. That's really great. And I got to tell you, Terry, I can see it in your face. Like I can see sort of a lightning in your face. So what what would be a good thing for you to try based on our conversation, maybe in this particular situation? Is there maybe another movie that you are interested in seeing?
Um, I have to see what they're going to release soon, but I probably make another trip to the theater next week.
Okay,
Even to just what like to see Toy Story, because I
there you
didn't get
go.
to see it, so I
There
can
you
just try
go.
it again.
Very, very good. I'm going to stop sharing my screen with you. So yeah, I think you're absolutely understanding, how to first of all use the document that we just shared. And I think we did a great job of dissecting that situation and really
Yeah.
seeing how the thoughts and the emotions were kind of coming together as a perfect storm. We were using all those cognitive distortion, the overgeneralization, the should and must, the personalization, the black and white thinking, those kinds of things. And I think it's important that you become familiar with what those categories look like so the next time you have an event, and maybe it's not the movie theater, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's a trip to the grocery store or a trip to church, or maybe it's just being home by yourself, that you pull out that sheet and you go through the exercise. It shouldn't take too long. I know it took a long time just because I was explaining along the way and we were sort of familiarizing ourselves, but maybe 5 to 10 minutes tops. Do you think that you could try to do that for me over the next week
Yeah.
so that we can talk about it when we get back into session next week?
Yes.
Excellent,
Yes.
excellent. The other thing that I wanted to ask you to do for me is I wanted you just as a mile marker along the way of our therapy. So I wanted you to do that prolonged grief assessment for me again, just to see how
Okay.
we're moving. And the point is not to see dramatic improvement because this kind of thing is slow and incremental. But because we're doing something that, and I practice evidence-based therapy, person-centered therapy, I want to make sure that you know where we're going and how we're progressing. So if you wouldn't mind, that would be great.
Yeah, of course. I
Is
can
there
do that.
anything else that you wanted to talk about today?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Can you do me a favor? Can you tell
Yeah.
me a couple of things that you're looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to getting out of my house,
Mm-hmm.
um, and do fun activities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and maybe get like new friends since like she passed away, like she was everything for me, to me.
Yeah.
So I feel like I need to have a fair chance, and as you say, like more compassion to myself and
Hmm.
enjoy what is left in my life, like I don't want to feel this way until I die.
Yeah.
So I would like to get to know more people, not in a romantic way, but like a
Mhm.
friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can certainly talk about when you're ready about anything to do with meeting people and dating. I don't know that you're quite there yet, but I think that it's okay to have those thoughts and to sort of think about them. We can put them in the corner for now and put a little pin in them. But I want to make sure that you're being kind to yourself in every domain of your life, including if you're starting to have feelings like that, to not shame yourself or put yourself in an awkward position. But I think that those are great goals, and I think that for next week, if you can bring me at least one filled out document and the assessment, that would be a tremendous step forward in the work.
Okay, sounds good.
Excellent. Same time next week, okay?
All right, thank you.
Take care.
You too. Bye.